is Sky, and I am an Army veteran. And I wanted to make a video about if you are on the autistic spectrum, could you join the military? Is it okay to join the military? Can you handle joining the military? I wanted to, because like I'm not diagnosed as autistic. I've been I was born in '77, and I was raised in a rural farming community with limited resources. And it's, you know, like my issues, my condition was recognized, but it was just like lumped into other people, and you're like, oh, you're just, you know, you're the oddball kid. And I was the isolated kid. I was the kid that would do things and get himself picked on. I was the kid that was arrogant and you know, being very intelligent, being very smart, and sort of just being arrogant in terms of how I shared that or applied that information to others. And my family were not religious. I didn't go to a church, so our relatives were, and we would go to their church services. And if the neighbors invited us, we would go there. But otherwise, basically an atheist household. I was a Boy Scout. Let's see, what was it? My father had guns. We'd take us target shooting. We'd even, you know, go help out farmers and shoot at, you know, rodents that were undermining roads and whatnot. And my dad is a war nerd, so tons of books and videos and movies about war. He liked boxing, but yeah, and I never really got into sports. So I'm giving all these sort of qualifiers and basically background information about me to kind of help paint a picture. I was on the high school swim team, and I was also in martial arts. I kind of dropped out of some martial arts here and there because just wasn't feeling the vibe, or just, you know, whatever sort of, you know, social anxiety issues, I guess. What should I call it? Yeah, so I was on Boy Scouts, high school swim team, but I was really only in Boy Scouts for about 2 years, and I went to college because it was one of those things of like, well, yeah, you're going to go to college. My parents were both went to college, so it was just kind of understood that I would go. But why was I going to college? What was I going to study? That I wasn't totally aware of. That might have been an undiagnosed depression, which, and you know, going through college, like I was kind of experiencing that off and on. It's interesting because college, it felt normal, it felt right to go there. And I'm trying to, you know, just talk about how like the thing that I keep hearing about is anxiety it drives people away from experiences, or anxiety gets people to the point where they shut down and they just drop out. And that it just surprises me, because in my case, the high school I went to was poor. We had to go year round the first 2 years I was in high school because there was just not enough space to fit everyone. What else? I was lacking in social skills. So when I went to college, the thing that I wasn't realizing until later was I was just not making the friends, I was not making the connections, I was not going to and sort of developing those group experiences and that positive social interaction. Even amongst nerds, I joined an anime club, and I was still like I knew people by name. I would recognize some people from class and just kind of chit chat, but I just wasn't really engaging with people. I guess potentially this is where like my video game addiction would have been an issue, but I still went to class, and even though I had like maybe undiagnosed ADHD symptoms and was struggling to study and whatnot, I just kept at it, didn't quit, didn't get the best grades when I graduated, but I did graduate on time, more or less, and so I go back home, and it's trying to find a job. And it just got to the point like, all right, well, I'm not really finding what I want. This doesn't seem like, the smartest thing. So I might as well do the smart thing and go enlist in the military. So I talked to the different branches, and the Army offered me more bang for the buck. They, gave me a higher rank when I signed in, as well as a enlistment bonus. And on top of that, the Army was bigger, so there's more options, more places to go, more just sort of opportunities, like more places to be stationed around the world. Like was another thing, and And so this is where it's this interesting thing of the only reason why I wanted to make this video is that there's a lot of autistics in the military. In fact, that seems to be kind of the societal catch, or the societal net, I guess, or I don't want to use because it's people who are socially awkward, but you provide them structure, you provide them, here's how to behave, here's how to act, here's how to dress, here's how to conduct yourself, here's goals, here's ways to handle the situation you're in. And it was very natural and easy for me, same for others. There was a difference in terms of people who were fresh out of high school. They were kind of emotional and would get upset and alarmed by what's happening around them, going to basic training, and they're they're more likely to cry, or it's kind of like, oh, the drill sergeant said this or something like that. While those of us who were 21 or older, worked jobs, college graduates, we just treated it like another job, and treated the people, the drill sergeants and other people, as like, oh, these are co-workers, and this is almost a hazing ritual, but like hazing routine, but really no, this is just the the training process to become a soldier. And this is just the necessary steps. And everyone is dedicated because we realize, hey, we signed a contract, we swore an oath, we know why we're here, we know what we're doing. When my autism would, I guess, come out on display, I guess it's when it was that sudden sort of, okay, we're in formation and it's time to act. It's time to remember how to do certain things, and that's where I would kind of get hung up a little bit. And it's the funniest thing because if I'm not in charge, I can remember things. I can call out. I can joke, even come up with funny one-liners. I was good at just observing things, which is the autistic thing of observing everything. But it's when I was in the leadership, that's when the sort of the judgment, the self-doubt would really creep in. Am I doing this right? Am I handling things right? What am I supposed to do? What am I forgetting? Let's see, what else? I finally went to airborne training, and it's kind of like the jump master is like, all right, what are you gonna do? And I'd seen other people do it, and I just blanked, blanked and just went right to the back of the line because I guess I'm not ready for this sudden leadership position. But what's wild is when you're in the sort of test or training environment, that's when I would have the hang-ups, and when I would get the nervous and I'd get the well, everybody's watching me, I got to be careful. And I was non-combat, but when we went to do combat training sort of things, I was amazed at how I fit in. I understood what I was doing. I was able to take charge. I was able to direct others. We're learning all right, this is how you move tactically through an environment, and they made me a team lead, and I'm telling people left and right, no, don't do that. Go there, spread out. Go that direction. All right, here's this obstacle. Here's how we got to handle things. And I'm watching the leadership, and I'm trying to give them hand signals, and they're just not understanding me. While the instructor is over there just, covering his mouth, just grinning, understanding what I'm trying to get across. And I finally walk over and explain, hey, don't have the leadership, and especially one more leadership, right in one location where you can all get killed. And they're like, oh, yes. And the instructor is just like, yes, thank you. I guess it comes down to the moral dilemma of, are you ready to put yourself in a position where you can potentially, have to shoot and kill someone? And there's direct fire and indirect fire. If you're going to go infantry, chances are you're direct fire. But then if you're going tank, artillery, mortar, what have you, then you're indirect fire. So it's, you're just told what to do and just offload ordnance. What is not often talked about is the subject of war crimes and friendly fire and lack of training. And so often what you end up hearing is the term lack of training. why, and also training accidents. The thing about the military, and it's not video games, is you're dealing with things that can really kill, things that can really hurt, things that will go off in your face. And if anything, I think that's kind of one of the things I notice is the people who play video games, they understood what they were handling. The people who didn't play video games, they're like, oh, what does this do? And it goes off in their face. These are, and this was one of the leaders, and the student leaders, but it is scary. It can be scary, but there's a reason why there's training. There's a reason why you're careful about things, and it's kind of a hard way to go about it, but watching the HBO shows Band of Brothers and Generation Kill, I think you're noticing and seeing how being cautious, being careful, and being reckless, and where those two things get you. It's thinking that you need to run into a situation, all your weapons firing. That's movies, that's video games, that's not real life. And it's also, like you see in movies, that's the person who gets killed. It's the person who doesn't make themselves a target. They're the survivors. And even though, because I played paintball with people who are combat soldiers, and I'm surviving. I'm not getting hit. I'm just displaying all these tactical experiences. Even though my training and experience is very limited, I did go through ROTC my freshman year of college and my sophomore year, and those were like just a lot of fun. That's the other thing. In fact, I even kind of forgot that I went through that I was hanging out with ROTC my first 2 years in college. And I joined up, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I did this years ago. But so I apologize. I'm just going all over the place, but I'm trying to just provide experiences and ideas, and that. How do you get to the point, can you go into the military? Could you handle going to the military? Can you prepare yourself? Can you prepare your child, who you think is on the autistic spectrum, to go in the military? And yes, it's like my whole childhood was always overcoming these fears, and just and even myself, I kind of recognized the fears were unreasonable. And my family recognized, oh, he's just being kind of this weird, childish, unreasonable fear. They got me into martial arts to help with that. I wish I had pursued music. I think it's, if the child is like, well, I'm afraid, and as an adult, you're like, all right, well, there's no reason to be afraid, or, well, that's a reasonable fear, and you know what? If we do a couple things, you'll get over that fear. And I'm kind of coming and want to talk about and think about that because of the experiences I've been having with children, and the kids of my friends who are just going on and talking about how they got the anxiety, and they're just so afraid to talk to even the person working behind the customer or behind the cash register at a business, a restaurant, fast food. And it's just like, I think we gotta figure something out about that. And it's also, even though I did I was in high school swim team, running around in a Speedo in front of strangers. I was in the Army as a sergeant. I've done karaoke sober. I joined Toastmasters. I've done all these different things. The social anxiety, the autism, it's still there. It still gets in the way. I'm around people I want to impress, or I'm going to do some public speaking, or I'm trying to do stand-up comedy, and the adrenaline starts. The fear is there in my mind, and it's a bit overwhelming. Surprisingly, playing Dungeons and Dragons and being a dungeon master, where you have to think, you have to perform, you have to entertain people and keep things going, and think on your feet while you are doing a thing, while you're talking and explaining things to people, and like you're just, it's this interesting how you're able to develop the two parts of your brain, like the active I'm talking to, and the I'm thinking about something, and so I gotta prepare what I'm about to say and set this up right. Even now I get a little nervous before a session, but it goes away. And then it's replaced by the general sort of like, all right, I gotta perform, gotta do stuff. But yeah, to get your kid ready for joining the military, and I recommend it because having that box, like, are you a veteran? It opens doors, and it's also, it definitely helps in sort of breaking down barriers and helping people, like, all right, well, I can connect with these individuals because we share this experience of being in the military, and getting that job is easier because that autistic person has that experience working the job in the military. So, because I'm also struck by, I did not know I was autistic. I think other people recognized it, and even the black command sergeant major, who was religious and didn't really talk to me too much until it was time for re-enlistment, and then he said the thing to me, you're going to regret not staying in. And yeah, he was right. I do kind of wish I had stayed in for the full 20 years, even though I what was happening at the time, and what was happening to my friends who had gone, who re-enlisted, all the things I ended up doing. But yeah, it's just interesting how things worked out. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, I'm autistic, or I get afraid easily, or I don't know, you can do it. And I mean, because I was having whatever issues, but the thing is, I thought like my mental resilience pulled through. And that's the other thing, is that I keep having whatever issues, not feeling good, and then the girlfriend decides to break up with me, and I'm like, I can't flirt with women because I'm a living caretaker for my mom, so it's like, I don't exactly have a place to take a girl if I were to meet her, but it's like, just deal with it, handle it, and don't let it get you down. And just know that, what's the purpose, what's the goal, and can you achieve? So, yeah, I don't get discouraged. Things, like the fear will always be there, the nervousness, because, hey, there's sitting in an office, calmly talking to a person, and then there's actually going to a place. You get a little nervous there, but I wouldn't worry. And if anything, like myself and others, we started laughing because we recognized, this is just like the movies. This is all, and this is for show. This person just put on a show for us, and just go with it. So I hope this helps somebody.